Unconfiscatable Conference, Las Vegas. We have the pleasure with Matt Hill from Start9. How are you doing?
Doing great.
So we just survived the false alarm, these unproductive weed-smoking gamblers there. You are very productive, I guess. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, what are you working on?
I am from Denver, Colorado. I've done a lot of things throughout my life, but currently I'm CEO and co-founder of Start9. And we identify ourselves as a sovereign computing company. What that means is that we are trying to eliminate trusted third parties from the human-computer relationship.
Awesome. So maybe start with Bitcoin, right? So what excites you about Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is actually kind of how we got started, in that Bitcoin, sort of created a new space in the world and in people's brains, namely this idea of decentralized consensus, of decentralized systems in general. And when you think on that long enough, you start to think about all the aspects of your world that are not decentralized, that rely on trust and authority. And so we thought that we could take the same basic idea that Bitcoin had pioneered in decentralized technology and apply it broadly to computer systems. So, we believe that the future of humanity will not be individuals communicating through the tech giant clouds, but will actually be individuals communicating peer-to-peer to each other.
Mm-hmm. What's your target audience like? Who are you building this project for?
We believe this is a mass market product. So, while we are currently here at a niche Bitcoin conference, and we have many ardent supporters here and people who use and love our product, we do believe that the future will involve anyone and everyone computing in this manner. Now, to reach those people, we have to continue to improve the product and make it equally convenient as the existing trusted custodial system. But we've come a long way already. It is quite usable, even by totally non-technical people, but we also have a long way to go.
So maybe, people unaware of, the deeper meaning of Bitcoin and stuff like that, there's a big narrative going on, right? That Bitcoin is used by criminals, and now even worse, with the war thing. So, for you, I guess, Bitcoin does not have, a bad taint or something like that. But could you maybe, in simple terms, explain a little bit like why you think Bitcoin is a good thing for the world?
Yeah. So, I believe in freedom of speech. And the transfer. Why? Because if you do not have freedom of speech, then truth cannot be known, and basically anyone who has the most might, physical might, can dominate anyone and everyone. It's important for humans to function properly, to have access to information, right? We are not animals who rely on our physical strength for survival. We are animals that rely on our minds and our ability to reason for survival. And so our minds are only as good as the information that is provided to them. So freedom of speech is necessary so that people can make informed decisions about their lives and the lives of their loved ones. And so to talk about Bitcoin, part of speech is expression of values. So if you value something, the way that you express that value is by paying for it. You literally put your money where your mouth is, where your demand is. And so if you do not have the ability to spend your money in the way that you see fit, then you are actually being inhibited from speaking your mind, from expressing your demand. And that's very dangerous. So Bitcoin is good because it gives human beings, individuals, control over their money.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, I always like to try and get into the perspective of the person that I've been before I discovered all these things. So someone that's, in a normie, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. Without being too offensive to anyone watching, but somebody that still believes, but we have democracy, right? And we should have we should vote on things. Would you say that voting with your money is ultimately an even better version of democracy, perhaps? It's not democracy, right? But someone could actually, so the concern of someone that doesn't like it because he feels unsafe, or maybe It's not catering for minorities. Would you say it's the opposite, actually, that like Bitcoin is an even better tool to express your voice and opinion and participate and have society however you like it, right? If you care for this or that topic, yeah, use Bitcoin to support it.
Yeah, I mean, expressing a vote by purchasing something in the market is, sure, you could equate it to democracy, but we mostly just call it the free market. When people are able to assess available products and services and select the ones that they think are going to serve them best, you end up with the best thing winning. In the corollary there is actual electoral politics and what we normally think of as democracy, where you don't actually know what you're buying, right? Because ultimately the best liar tends to win, but products and services don't lie. They're honest, right?
Sure, they can lie, but then they
get found out. Well, so do politicians, but they have terms. You find out that they were liars within a week after their election, but there's nothing you can do about it. You're sort of stuck with them in America for 4 years, and then you forget after 3 years all the things they lied about. So then they just pull it over on you again. Whereas the market is much more efficient than that. The second you receive your product in the mail and it doesn't work, you are contacting support, you are posting it on social media, you're getting your money back. The feedback loop is a lot shorter and more efficient.
So I assume, if I may try to interpret it, you're translating the same principles now on hardware and software and the sovereign user, sovereign internet user. So I mean, normal people, they're happy with Facebook, happy with Google because they don't know, right? How do you imagine the future of technology evolve, and what's your vision? How are you solving that?
I would argue that most people do know at this point.
But they accept?
They accept because they don't know of any alternative, any viable alternative. There's no exit door. And yet they want and sometimes even need these software services to go about their lives, right? Their job could depend on it. Their social lives could depend on it. And so there really just isn't a viable alternative right now, at least until us and companies like us have come along and offered that alternative. But it's super early, and not many people are aware that there is a computing alternative to the current cloud-based, custodial, authoritative subscription model of computing that we've become accustomed to. But there is an alternative, and it is viable. And it's going to take a few years to really reach what we call convenience parity, right? It's not quite as convenient as the existing model, but there's no reason that it can't be, and we actually know how to do that, and we've already made a lot of progress in that direction.
So on a high level, how do you see the internet develop from here? You mentioned a few things, but maybe you can go a bit more in depth, like what are the fundamental things that will change for the users from a technical point of view?
Yeah, the internet, while designed as a distributed peer-to-peer system, evolved into a highly centralized authoritative system. When you pull out your phone and launch an app, or you pull out your computer and visit a website, all of those communications are intermediated. You are essentially using a remote control. It's not even proper to think about it as a computer, as a personal computer. It's actually a remote control that is operating somebody else's computer. And when I say somebody else, I mean one of the tech giants. And of course, those tech giants are then also beholden to their superiors and the powers that are greater than them, which is governments. And so ultimately, when you use your computer, it's almost like you have multiple individuals from various firms and government officials sitting in the living room with you, right? Nothing is private, nothing is secure, and everything can be censored, surveilled, and extorted, right? We haven't quite seen that yet because these companies have been so good at monetizing you as a product. They're so good at taking your data and turning it into money that they didn't need to charge you money. However, people are waking up to this idea that they're being surveilled and that their privacy is being infringed upon. And so they are saying no. And ironically, the politicians are facilitating the consumer's ability to say no by requiring these tech giants to ask you permission to collect your data. When I install an app now, it says, Facebook would like to, surveil you, and I don't know anyone who says yes. Everyone says no. And so what that means is that these companies are no longer going to be able to monetize your data to the same extent that they have over the last 10 years. And so the only way to backfill those revenues is going to be subscriptions. So if we already beginning to see it, but in the coming years, we predict that almost every app on your phone and everything that you do on your computer will be nickel and dimed. You will be charged monthly subscriptions, per usage, fees, until you're no longer able to pay your rent. And then people will start to seek alternatives, not because they value individual sovereignty or even because they value privacy. They will seek alternatives because they value money and they would like to save that money. And we will be there waiting for them as this happens.
Excellent. So let's finish off, maybe give another short introduction and what are the use cases for Start9? What are your plans this year?
Yeah, I mean, given that we're at a Bitcoin conference and this is bitcoinnews.com, the first and coolest thing that you can do with our product is to run a full Bitcoin node. You plug it into the wall, you push a couple buttons, it takes a couple of minutes, and you are up and running with a fully validating, full archival Bitcoin node. You are participating in the network, you're validating transactions, and you can verify that your own money belongs to you and full custody and all the rest. On top of that, you can run a Lightning node. Right? For those who don't know, Lightning is, the equivalent of what PayPal is to banks. Right? It's not where the money is necessarily stored and kept safe, but it is the layer upon which massive amounts of instantaneous transactions can occur. And so you can, with our product, equally easy, run your own plug-and-play Lightning node and begin transacting with Bitcoin over the Lightning Network instantaneously to anywhere on Earth with privacy and impunity. And while those may have been a lot of technical terms and ideas, it's actually very, very easy. It kind of feels like you're opening your phone and installing an app and sending money to your friend. And part of that is because Bitcoin and Lightning have been so well designed over the years, and part of it is because we have provided a user interface that grants you access to these things in an unprecedented way. Right? We are arguably the easiest way for an average non-technical person to really dig their teeth into Bitcoin and Lightning.
I'm intrigued. I think I'm going to go to my laptop now and boot Start9. Thank you for your insights, Matt.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.